I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Red Hot Chili Peppers. What's the name of this song?
Under the Bridge.
Under the Bridge for the homies at Sin and Glory. What is Sin and Glory? Sin and Glory is a Patreon Alliance Day listener. Shout out to all our Patreon Alliance people. Thingamajiggy. Thank you for your loyalty. You will be rewarded in very short order for your loyalty. $1 a gig gets you in that Patreon. You join an alliance. You get Sin and Glory is Chris Culp's group. And he's the alliance leader, and he is, I'm not going to say the best alliance leader of all time, okay, but he definitely knows his stuff, and I love the way that he runs his alliance. You pull your points together, and that helps determine what songs we review. Now, if you're a filthy capitalist and you don't want to be part of an alliance, but you still want to have a song reviewed, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You hop, skip, and jump in front of everybody. And that also helps determine what songs we do. You do that 3 times, you get knocked down to the $75 rate. We were doing a live stream yesterday, so we had a couple kind of spontaneous reactions that happened with that as a format. So that's something that can happen as well if you catch us in a live stream. It is very likely that if you drop the 125 right there, then we'll go and do it. But we got to show some love to our alliance members, and that's what we're doing right now. So, having said that, this is the Red Hot Chili Peppers Under the Bridge. I'm actually really excited to hear this song because I'm a big fan of the Chili Peppers. So, having said that, let's see. That is not Water Under the Bridge. That is a song that we did earlier. This, however, is Water Under the Bridge. So, let's check that out instead of this Mega Man thing or whatever it is. We solved that problem. Look at that. Look at the efficiency, losers. All right, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Here we go.
Under the Bridge. Let's see it. This sounds familiar.
I was thinking the same thing.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner.
Yep. Boy, this brings back memories.
Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. I drive on the streets 'cause she's my companion. I walk through the hills 'cause she knows who I am. She sees my good deeds and she kisses me when and I never worry. Now that is a lie. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. Yeah, yeah, It's hard to believe that there's nobody out there. It's hard to believe that I'm all alone. At least
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, I heard that one before.
Holy moly, man. That, you know, I've heard that song before too. And like, I never really, all I remember is, I don't want to ever feel like I did that day.
Yes.
That's all I remember.
Yeah, that was obviously the
And then
the chorus part.
It sounded like a choir at the end.
Under the bridge
It sounded like a bunch
is
of,
where I drew some blood.
yeah, it sounded like a bunch of people were singing that song at the same time, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really looked at the actual, lyrics in the verse. Holy moly! It seems like this is a drug thing.
I think at the end it is that. To me, the beginning was just like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Is that Los Angeles?
Yeah.
And
Los Angeles means the angels, literally. It's Los
I
Angeles.
knew that from a movie I watched years ago.
Angeles is...
Lonely as I am, together we cry. I think that it's just... Like, I used to feel like this in my town. Like, I didn't feel... He says I drive on her streets because she's my companion. I walk through her hills because she knows who I am. She sees my good deeds and she kisses me windy. Well, I will never worry. Now that's a lie. Like, there's... I think that he just wasn't making connections with people.
Right.
And that was...
Right.
He felt super lonely, but he felt like this connection with his city or something broader than himself. And...
Street life.
So... Well... Yeah, but he's saying, like, I drive on her streets, and it talks about him being in the wind, and so I just got that it was just, like, as he's living in his city, like, he kind of makes a friend out of his city. You know, like, kids make friends out of their bears, but he's an adult now, so he makes a friend out of his city. But it did, to me, at the end, seem like it did go in the direction of... So there was a bridge that is, like, actually super close to us, and, like, so much shit would go down under this bridge.
Right.
Like, there was, a bunch of homeless people would hang out there. People
That's what
that
I was
were
thinking.
and were not homeless would go there. And there was fights, there was stabbings, there was sex, there was drugs, everything was going on under this
Is it
bridge.
that bridge on the way to Walmart?
No. I think it's... It's actually... I'll bring you sometime. It's over by the skate park. What? Why you laugh?
Skate park by KP?
No, there's another skate park.
Yeah. I'd like.
It's like
to go to this mythical place.
We went before. You just don't remember. We went on one of our jogging things.
Okay. Yeah. So go ahead.
Anyway, like you cross the footbridge from Auburn to Lewiston, the footbridge, where the balloon festival is on one side. Remember where we do the baptisms?
Yeah.
And then as you were leaving, you could take a right and cross like a footbridge. A big, long footbridge.
Oh, yeah.
That went over the water.
Yeah.
So you cross over that, and then you land in this small, little mini park.
Yeah.
And you cross the street, and there was like this gas station-y sort of thing where people could get Italians and stuff. But to the right of that, there's a bridge that goes over, and you just go underneath, and it just has like a feel to it.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that is the skate park. But anyway, like... So that's kind of what it made me think of, especially when he says, under the bridge downtown is where I drew some blood. I couldn't get enough. Forgot about my love. And I think when he says forgot about his love, I think...
Drew some blood.
Yeah, there was fighting.
Oh, see, I took that as a drug reference, like a heroin reference. The needles,
Yeah,
when
but you don't draw blood. I think he says I could not get enough.
I'm pretty sure they do bleed when they inject.
Yeah,
because they're not professional.
Do. Yeah, they probably bleed. But
they're not professional. So like it says draw blood. Usually, yeah. I mean, I guess you can have that as like a combat reference, but you normally hear that in the hospital. Like when somebody's when the I don't know what they call that person, but the person that takes your blood, it's
phlebotomist.
Yeah, it's the needle stuff and all that. So I just went with the whole needle angle of it. I mean, I guess it could be he was mixing it up with people, but it looked to me like there's it looks like a specific type of instance where something went down under that bridge.
I mean, if you keep it all a drug reference, I drew some blood, which would be where he like injects and then he bleeds after, I guess. I don't know. I've never seen anyone do it. I do know there was always like scabs when people would do it. And then I could not get enough, forgot about my love, and gave my life away. Here I stay.
Yeah.
It does seem like drug references.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think I was thinking about our bridge where there's like, it's all. So drew some blood was he's fighting. I could not get enough was about drugs. Forgot about my love had to do with love. You know, like gave my life away. Just homelessness, you know, like and all that. So it just, that's where I went with it. But
yeah, it's interesting how he goes from, you know, talking about, you know, being lonely to if it's about drugs. You remember when we were at the corn show and we were backstage hanging out with Head, and then there was, which was cool, but the real highlight of the night was these guys that were doing the rehab stuff, and the leader of the rehab was talking about this study. It was like, I think
you
it was
don't happen to know what the. I would have liked to have said the name of that place.
Yeah, I completely forgot.
What was the date of the corn show? Do you know?
I completely forgot. I was just talking today, actually. That's probably the only reason it popped into my head. But, like there was like this Swiss study about these rats, and they put them on drugs, and then
I know, that's sad.
One rat they basically kept to himself, and the thing ended up like killing itself or something like that. I forgot what it was. But
Granite Recovery Center,
yeah. So
if you're in need of help, like that's what they do. Like they help you get off drugs and kind of get life situated.
And it's real shit. Like the guy, like he was like real. The guy is like the real deal. Like that's why I said like the highlight of the night. Definitely, holy shit! Like you're hanging out backstage with Korn, but just listening to those stories, and there were a couple people in that were hanging out with us that were like in the middle of it. Like they had not like overcome the situation yet. So it was still it was just crazy to see where everybody was on the spectrum. But I don't want to get distracted. The story about these mice, these rats, whatever, and they were like, so you had one, they I forgot what it was. They hopped them up on some drugs or whatever. And then they had like a thing that they could, It
was a morphine drip, no?
It was it was morphine drip, something where the rat could take the drugs anytime they wanted. So when they put the one group of rats, they put like by themselves in like, these kind of solitary, things, and they basically, all the rats basically OD'd to death or something like that. Then they had another group of rats where they hopped them up on the morphine, but then they released them into the society of the other rats, but then they still made the morphine available, and they actually chose being with the other rats over the morphine. And so it had...
These are rats.
It had obvious implications, right? Yeah. Like, why are we putting these people who are addicted to this substance in prison, basically isolating them, which makes them more, treating them like criminals, when in reality they've harmed no one but themselves. You don't send somebody to prison if they start cutting themselves.
Right.
You say, holy shit, that guy or that girl is in trouble. We need to put her in a facility, get her help, whatever. And so, it had massive implications. Like, maybe we should treat these people. And you know what? When it comes to the opioid crisis, Dave Chappelle had this joke. I'm not going to go there because I don't want people distracted, and we've got some fragile people that can't stay focused. So I'm not going to go there. But like, that's the way these things should be handled. Like, the experiment was clear, and obviously, like, the rats are not people, but I think we all get the idea. Like, why are we isolating these people when loneliness is a major factor in this song? And you got to think, like, let's see, I don't know about, like, the Red Hot Chili Peppers history, but I'm assuming it's like you're part of this band, you're about to blow up, or you've already blown up, and yet you're just in the street. Like, And it's just walking lonely and wanting some sort of companionship, which it's one of the things that's mind-boggling to me, like, as we become friends with these people. It's like, and it shouldn't really be mind-boggling, but you get a lot of people who are in a lot of pain, and no matter how successful they are, they're in a ton of pain, and they're just like everybody else. They need companionship and friendship just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, what ends up happening, especially in the rock world, is that you have the money that gets you access to all these destructive drugs because you're a famous rock star, but you don't have actual genuine friends. Mm-hmm. So it almost becomes like this horrible sort of like worst of all possible worlds, where you've got the money, you've got enough money to destroy yourself, but you don't have the people around you who can get you actual friendship, because you're only around them because they're famous.
Yeah. I think that there's that side of it, but then, like, I actually... like, a lot of the different stuff that you listen to at night is very interesting, like, and so it's, like, kind of gets me thinking about lots of different things, and I was thinking about, you know, because they're finding now, they're kind of, like, open... I remember, okay, back up. I remember when I was a kid, and I remember hearing about somebody's kid having seizures, and them saying, like, there was a discussion at my house, like, would you allow your, like, would you have your child use some form of cannabis? So, well, they didn't call it cannabis. They said weed to stop the seizures. And everybody was like, to my remembrance, everybody was saying no, like, weed was, like, so bad. Like, nobody. And then... like, so it kind of like it created this environment where if somebody like smoked weed, I always felt like very weird around anybody that like smoked, because I was like, that must be really, really bad, because I've heard so much bad stuff about it. And then, you know, like now stuff is like opening up and there's like shops popping up everywhere. We were in the mall, they were like advertising CBD lotion, and you know what I mean? Like, it's all this. And so it just kind of makes you think, like, I wonder if people that are in a situation where they're using a particular type of drug, if people are not using that type of drug and they don't understand what you're going through, I wonder if they kind of do hold you at arm's length. Kind of like somebody that's handicapped or something that goes out in public, and they said either people stare incessantly at you or they completely pretend you don't exist. There's no like there's nothing normal there. And so, you know, like you see somebody that's like, person's probably on heroin or meth, or you know what I mean, like there are some things that are like very clear, you can see that they're on something. And so it's like, does that happen where people kind of like pull away from them because they don't understand what they're going through and they feel uncomfortable? Okay. So you have this obvious separation kind of that people do. And I wonder if that happens for people that are on certain types of drugs. So you're already, even though you're not in jail yet for being caught for the drugs that you have, you're already being separated from society. And so you're already that rat that's separated.
Yeah.
Even though you're with a crew, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe you're hitting, shooting it up with people that you know, and I don't know. I don't know if there's like, if you feel a certain closeness with the people, or if everybody just feels separated and you just feel separated from your family because... Yeah,
well, as far as weed goes, definitely late 80s, early 90s, I'm sure it was that type of effect. I mean, 2000s, I don't...
No, I'm not talking about weed now. I'm using weed as an example to say, this is my understanding of it. But, and now that I'm seeing how like weed's popping up everywhere, and I've been around people that have smoked, it's not what it looked like. Like they made, and obviously alcohol was the same thing. Like, I thought the Bible said you were not supposed to drink. And then, much to my surprise, it says that he made wine to make the heart of man glad. And what am I supposed to do with that?
What did you do with him turning water into wine?
They told us it was grape juice. That it was the purest form. Like, fermented grapes, it sat around. But, like, the purest... But remember how he said, well, this is odd. Like, most people bring out the good wine at the end.
Yeah.
Like, they bring out the good wine at the beginning, but you brought out the good wine at the end.
Yeah?
Well, the idea was the flavor of the wine where it hadn't been fermented was so good when it freshly squished that most people didn't bring that out first because people were, they were drinking a lot at that point. So you would, no, that's when they would bring it out so people could enjoy the flavor before they start getting drunk. Because once you're drunk, you don't really care about the flavor.
Yeah, but how did you guys deal with the injunctions against drunkenness?
Those were all warnings of why you shouldn't drink.
Yeah, but how could you get drunk on grape juice?
What do you mean?
You see what I'm saying? Like, if the wine in the Bible was just grape juice, then how could you have an injunction against being drunk?
No, people are drinking No, they're not getting drunk off grape juice. People are drinking grape juice, but then there are also other people that they don't have a cap and they just drink and they get drunk and
they don't have a what?
Like a cap. Like, okay, I'm not going to drink. So because they are drinking, you have to have something for those people, but you're not supposed to drink. That's what we were taught.
But what were they getting drunk on?
The people people that were getting drunk on wine that they shouldn't have had in the beginning. You could have a little bit of wine for your stomach, like Timothy.
Yeah, but it's all the same Greek word.
Yeah, but you could have a little bit for your stomach.
There's a Greek word for orange juice and a Greek word for wine.
Well, no, they told us that's what they told us.
They told us a different word?
No, they told us that was a different thing because of the explanation given.
Yeah, but if that was a different thing, so when Jesus was doing it was grape juice, but then the word went back to wine when it was saying don't be drunk? Don't get drunk with wine?
When it was saying don't be drunk with wine, they're telling you not to drink.
No, they said don't get drunk with wine.
I know.
But the word is wine. And it's the same wine that Jesus turned the water into.
Well, that's not how we looked at it. And the other thing was, that verse that talks about like the drink being like a venomous snake or something like that? Like, what's that one? Poisonous.
Yeah, Proverbs.
Yeah, what does it say?
Well, he says, don't drink the wine when it turns red in the cup or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah,
so it's like, okay, you can have a little bit of wine, but you cannot get drunk. So like, like a little bit of wine, but at the same time, I had that thing where I was...
So you could have wine.
Not really. Like, if it was served at communion, maybe, but, like, I don't know. I didn't take it. I had this big thing when I went overseas in Latvia.
Oh, I know. You did take it, didn't you?
Yeah, that's because they bullied me to take it.
Didn't you take it and then you felt bad afterwards?
Yeah, and I still stand beside that. That was wrong of them to force me to do that. They should have had a conversation and explain some things to me. Don't say all that to me and then force me to do something. That was a decision that I made from the time that I was young. I was like Samson, I'm never going to drink and I'm blah, blah, blah. Like, there was certain codes that I had for myself and that was one of them.
Yeah, but...
Then look at what happened.
One of your codes was going up against a sacrament.
No, because I thought the sacrament... We always did grape juice at my church. That's all it ever was.
You were sinning.
But we didn't know that.
So you're saying they should have allowed you to continue to sin?
They didn't talk about it like that. Do you think that that's what they said? That's so cute.
You said they bullied you.
Yeah, you know what they said? How is this going to look to the rest of the church if our missionaries are not drinking it?
That's a concern.
No, it's not about the sacrament. It was about how that school was going to look.
In context of the sacrament.
And they all shared the same cup.
Okay, that I have a problem with. But like, it was in the context of the sacrament, though. I do think
it wasn't.
You don't get it because
it wasn't about the sacrament.
I would have a problem with that. I would have a problem with that because you are very influential, whatever, and this whole grape juice remix is a great sin against God and against the church, and I really mean that. Because you got Americans that are saying, hold on, God, for 2,000 years we've been doing it this way, but we figured it out.
Does it matter?
It absolutely
matters.
Why
would it matter?
Okay, so can you have Doritos and Pepsi for communion?
No, grape juice.
Okay, so can you have grape soda and Doritos?
No, because that doesn't become wine.
What about crackers?
Yeah, I would have.
That's a form of yeast. You have cracker. Oh, that's right. Because
you could have unleavened.
You guys did the little cracker.
You could have unleavened crackers. We actually had oyster crackers every week.
That's just crazy.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it's a
didn't have
very, very great sin.
I totally can see. Stop. I can totally see why. Okay, so in the Bible, when they talk about leaven, there's different. Leaven is like yeast. It's what makes your bread rise. But this leaven, in some instances in the Bible, is used to explain what sin does. It like comes in and then it goes everywhere and the whole thing. So when you talk about the bread was supposed to be no leaven
Unleavened
in there.
bread.
It's supposed to be unleavened, so that way it's like, because it's representing Jesus and it's supposed to represent that he had no sin, so that's why he should have no leaven. But why should you have to have fermented grape juice? Why can't it just be this fresh squeezed grapes?
Because there was a grape juice option. And he didn't take it. He used wine because he was...
Yeah, but
was
the
Passover.
other one, you can see what it means. It's about sin and his representation. But why does it have to be an alcoholic beverage? Why?
Well, fermentation has obvious gospel implications.
Okay, well, tell them to us, Vin.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
When you let something ferment, it's basically rotting.
I know.
Right? Which is.
But he did not rot.
Which brings us to the concept of death. Right?
Okay.
Right?
I mean, squeezed grapes would be dead as well.
And then, yeah, but then the dead grape that's rotting actually turns into something that is a celebration, which is obviously the resurrection. So Jesus didn't turn the water into grape juice. Why didn't he turn the water into grape juice then?
Okay.
They were already half in the bag. He turned the water into wine. Because the scripture says wine makes the heart of man glad. So there is absolutely a gospel connection with actual wine and the process of fermentation.
Well, nobody ever said that before. And
What do you mean
secondly,
nobody's ever said that before? What are you talking about?
I never heard anything like that. I never heard anything like that. They never talked about that. It was about appearances, babe. That's what it was always about. That's what it was always about with all of them.
No. Were you talking about your Latvian people?
Everybody, my whole life. Except for you.
I think you're projecting. No.
No,
that
I know
would have
what they said to me.
That would have been an instance where I would have said, you as a
It
person...
wasn't about how it reflects on Christ. It was about how it reflects on the school.
You as a person of influence would be influencing these people to sin.
Don't you think that would have been important to tell me if they thought it was sin?
Yeah, but...
That's not what they said.
What did they say?
And secondly, they didn't even serve wine at the school.
For communion?
They didn't. Yeah. They served grape juice.
In Latvia?
No, at the school. They had no problem with that.
Yeah, your
Stop.
school
So
was
what I'm
sitting.
saying is they had no problem with the alcohol grape juice discussion. It wasn't about the sin of the sacrifice.
Who was rebuking you? Was it the school or was it the Latvian people?
No, it was the school. The school came to me and said...
The school was rebuking you.
The school rebuked me and said, you have to take it or we are going to take you home because you can't be going over there giving the school a bad name.
That's terrible. Well, yeah, if it was... Yeah, that's terrible. Well, so you would have went home? You'd have let them send you home over that?
Well, I had to decide what I was going to do because I knew next Sunday they were going to serve it as well. And so I went back and forth and I thought... It became one of those, like, the lesser of two evils. I never wanted to drink alcohol, but at the same time, I was on a mission trip. And I felt like the mission was more important than that code that I had. So, I drank it.
This is such a fascinating discussion because there's so much sin happening.
But nobody mentioned any of that. That's not what anybody said.
Well, how did they know that you weren't going to drink the wine? Did you tell them?
I didn't drink it, and then that bitch told on me. She called them.
I could see you still. I
still have a sore spot.
I could see you forgiving her.
I still have a sore spot. Oh, I just figured something out. I'll tell you later.
Well,
there's somebody in our village that reminds me of that person. Oh no! So anyway, no, not at all.
Really?
Not at all.
Is it a dude or a girl?
I'm not going to say. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. Well, whoever you are, fuck you. She still hasn't forgiven you, apparently.
I know. I mean, I think I have a lot, but not completely, I think.
This song is a classic, though. It's a classic song. I mean, it is like...
Oh, okay, and I actually have more to say. So I heard this song. There was a... there was a guy that wanted to date me, and I thought I might have been interested, but then I actually wasn't interested, and that's because it was long distance, and so you can think that my father said he's not a different person when he comes home. Sorry, like it's the same person that left. He's the same person that's coming back. But like,
was this the army guy?
Yeah, there was just so many. Like, you know how I am about stories. So that story was so big in my mind of what it was, and then he came back home and it wasn't what I thought it was. But anyway, so that makes me a terrible person.
I thought you didn't. I thought the army guy didn't stand a chance with you. Is this the guy that sang to you and all this stuff?
Sang?
This is the guy who's the army, right? Did he say he's like a nerd?
No, he wasn't a nerd. Oh, this is interesting. You've got your stories very mixed up.
This must be another. No, this is you.
It was an army guy
that you told me about.
I never explained him
one
to be a
army
nerd.
guy, but then there's another one apparently that I'm just now figuring out.
I told you they went together.
No, you never told me that.
I didn't tell you that they both came back at the same time?
No, this is...
You didn't know he went too?
This is the first time you've ever told me.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
You got a thing for guys in the military, huh?
No. No, because I don't want them to leave.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, so he came back, and anyway, I wasn't very interested. He got very upset that I wasn't interested. But that's not the point of this discussion. The point of the discussion is, he said to me, look, see, we're showing the crack again on the wall.
I can't deal with that.
It's...
Especially the way that you described it.
Yeah, but it's going to keep moving.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not going to keep moving.
It's moving as you're walking. It's moving.
Nope.
Okay. This is how it was. This is how it was.
No crack in the wall. It's completely black.
He was playing music for me, and I didn't know who any of the bands were. And this was one of the songs that he played me. I'm pretty sure he made like a little CD or something.
Was this is Tony or the other guy?
No, this is the other guy, the one I wasn't interested in.
Okay.
he was like, sorry, like I'm gonna have to get some culture into your life. And I actually liked the idea of like somebody like showing me the different things that were out there.
That was this channel.
But I wasn't. Yeah,
thanks for the idea, homie.
I wasn't gonna do it with him.
She wasn't gonna do it with you though.
The thing is, I really wanted it, but I was not wanting it with him. And then here we are. Vin's giving me all kinds of culture, and there's so many things I've learned. Anyway.
Yeah. The Sori's actually disappointed that the wall is not showing here because, and then she goes and does that. So there you go. This is pretty much how all of our fights and disagreements go, by the way. She's clearly wrong. It's clearly wrong. And then she'll do something like that and then go, see, I told you.
It's completely untrue.
Okay, you decide who to believe, dear listener.
I mean...
Okay. All right. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that fascinating story. We've all learned... I wish Ben Webb was here. He'd have some wonderful, confirmed. Sori's not really a Christian because she refuses to get drunk and high or whatever. He would have some very comical response. Shout out to the homie Ben Webb.
Yeah.
Look, if you're a single young lady, send an email to vinandsori@gmail.com, and I'll connect you to the most wonderful guy you'll ever meet in your entire life, Benjamin Webb.
It might be one of those Beauty and the Beast situations. We're not sure. The kind you warn your girls about. Just because he's a dick doesn't mean he's going to stop being one.
Nah. Ben's a good guy. Although Jen G showed up in the room yesterday and she gave Ben no quarter. Boom. Poor Ben. Poor Ben. I think he ended up fleeing the room. Yeah. I think he fled. Well, Jen G, you can't play with her. Like, she's not.
Nope.
Especially if you're a dude, man. Forget it.
She's gonna tell you like it is.
I really like this song. It was a good song. Very important topic: substance abuse, loneliness, that type of thing. I love the way that he described being lonely, where his friend was the city, but it was all these inanimate objects: the sidewalk, the wind. When we were in LA, it was weird because it was glitzy. It was LA. We were at NAMMS. All these people were there. I was walking by. We walked by a couple, people in bands. People in bands or whatever, and they're just walking by like normal, like, holy shit, that's a girl that did. Mm-hmm. I remember we saw this.
You
one
pointed
girl
out multiple.
Did this whatever would bring me the horizon, And I'm like, yo, that's the. I was like, literally, like, she bumped my shoulder and you know, oh, my bad, blah, blah, blah. She walked off. I'm like, holy shit. So LA is like this very weird. But that was day one. And then after day two, it was just like, nah. Like, it was like in New York. Like, you'd see Macaulay Culkin, you see McKean Wood, but all these people walk by. And then, it's like, when we were in New York, we didn't care. We just saw those people, whatever. Mm-hmm. We saw people shooting movies in Central Park. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I cared. I wanted to see that shit, but Shorty, she had already seen like 3 or 4 of them, so she's like, "Let's go," blah blah blah. But yeah, once you get past that, and the other thing too is like, we hadn't made it, I mean, we got an invite to NAMM, blah blah blah, but like, I can imagine like. We've got a plan about what we want to do with our lives for the next 5 years.
The city was alive at 1 p.m.
Right.
I mean, 1 a.m.
Right. Like, we've got a plan about what we want to do with our lives, and the likelihood of it manifesting is about 98%. It's a very realistic and very glamorous goal, but I think both of us have no doubts at all we're going to accomplish it. But LA is one of those places where people parachute in and they're convinced that they've got some sort of special singular talent, and 98% of them aren't going to make it. And they know that 98%, but they heard that story about that girl that's, was under the bridge or whatever, and she sang, and some producer just happened to be strolling by, and holy shit, who's that? And then boom, now she's on... and so they hear that story and they're like, oh, okay. So for me, I'm listening to this song and I'm like, you're right. The streets are alive at 1 a.m. in LA. And to you, that means something a lot different than a lot of people, because to you, you're from Maine. And so, at 1 a.m., I remember one time like going to Walmart. This was when Walmart was 24 hours. And I remember seeing like the same group of kids over and over again. I'm like, this is all they have. And they're about 14, 15, and I'm like, they're going to be, this is the last time, they're going to be in house parties, they're going to get drunk, blah, blah, blah. And nothing to do.
So boring.
So there is a great nightlife in LA, but that also means a lot of trafficking, a lot of prostitution, because a lot of these kids, they come over there with this dream, and there's nothing doing. It's not happening. And we were in, we were in the Hilton or whatever. We were in Hilton, and then we were like a mile away from Disneyland. Like, literally. Like, we as a matter of fact, we were going to go to Disneyland if you weren't sick or whatever.
I was sick and so far pregnant.
And you were preggo, right.
Everything was hurting.
Like, right. So Zonia...
Yeah, Zonia was going to
get
us passes. And
Zonia and Carmen were about to get hooked up.
Super nice.
But, so we were in a very nice, privileged area of LA, but I'm sure there's a lot of seedy, nasty underbellies. Remember that time we went out for that late night?
Seedy. It's extremely
Remember that time we went for a late night drive or whatever?
Yeah.
And it was like real ghetto shit it was not, the LA that we were in. It was the LA that this song is about. So, I just think nightlife and things like that.
Even that stuff is fun, because I always feel like when I'm with you, like, it's going to be all right. Like, I feel like if something's too dangerous, you're not going to bring us there. And if it's just somewhat, then it's just going to be fun, and you're going to be protective or whatever. So it was fun. It was like a little experience. Right,
but you knew you were going to leave.
Yeah.
So I think like this song like has a lot of... I think there's a lot of people, man, who that's probably why this song was massive, because everybody can relate to being lonely. And I just think specifically in LA that there's a lot of like really, really hurt people, because you have your dream and then the years go by, and that shit is not happening, and you're eking out a living because it's impossible to live over there. I just think that I think that city has consumed a lot of people. And I'm not familiar with how it works because, I'm from the East Coast. I know what it looks like when New York consumes people. But I think it's probably extremely ugly and sad the way LA consumes people.
Yikes.
So, because I don't think that... And maybe it's because I'm on the East Coast, but I don't think that New York is as glamorous as LA.
I never thought New York was glamorous.
So, you know, I mean...
All my friends did. They were like, oh my gosh, New York,
Yeah.
Manhattan, blah, blah, blah. And like, when I went to the city, I'm like, are you kidding me? This place is... First of all, that is no place for someone who's OCD. It is disgusting.
It's extremely disgusting.
It is so disgusting. And like, literally, the first day was like, Subway this, blah, 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 touching this, touching that. My hands felt so friggin' nasty. The next day I said, I am not going to touch a damn thing
no
in this city.
idea how people stay in New York City after Corona. Like,
Honestly.
being on the train
Did
and
you
all
see that where people are burning their masks now? And it's like...
Well, I understand that. I'm just like, to me, it's like...
I know that they weren't related.
There's literally thousands of people, like, hands on that pole. I remember, like, touching the pole and being like, yo. My older brother was one of those guys, man. He'd be like, yo, you know how many people touch that, blah, 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 and then you go in there and eat your pizza and all this shit? I'm like, holy moly. Because it's true. There's a lot of hand food in New York because everybody's so busy. And, you know, you just take the pizza, you squash it in half and go. Because you remember when we were going for the... It's like... Boom, 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 boom. And the other thing is, this is the other major difference between LA and New York. There's still a public transportation system in LA, for sure. But it is not like New York, where, like... There's some regions in New York, like literally 85% of the people don't drive a vehicle.
Exactly. There was a lot of Ubering, it looked like to me, in LA.
Well, yes.
In New York, it's like, get on the subway.
Correct.
Even if you take an Uber, it's going to take you forever to get around there.
It's better for you.
A lot of times, it was better to walk it because it took so long.
100%.
I could not believe how long it took us in a taxi. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, it was like...
My friend kept saying, we should just get out and walk. We should get out and walk. I'm like, how far is it? She's like, 2 blocks. And I'm like, I didn't realize...
Which is another thing that happens a lot in New York is the... Yeah, you walk. You end up walking everywhere. Because remember, like, we were parked in that hotel and the Neil thing? We walked to that show and back, and then we had to park in the parking garage. It's always weird. It's complex. My point is that...
Well, no, we soon started realizing it was pointless to have a vehicle rented.
Correct. Yeah.
Because you had to drive. It took you forever. And then you had to find a place to park. It's cheaper to just get an Uber.
Did we rent a vehicle? No, we didn't. We drove down there.
Now?
No, not
we
now.
didn't.
I'm talking about New York.
Oh, yeah. You drove your car.
Yeah. I think we dropped the car back. No, we had the car.
In Nam?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Nam we had the car.
We had the car.
But we realized it was a waste of our money. We should have Ubered the whole time.
Right.
Because that's what we ended up doing. We ended up leaving our car at the hotel, and we Ubered a bunch.
We just Ubered a bunch.
It just was totally... The city was way more set up for Ubers than it was for your little friggin' rental car.
Yeah. So I just think LA consumes people. I think probably a lot of people have OD'd to this song, probably. Which... Anyway... What do you get? I'm gonna give this song a 10.
Me too. I feel like it's classic.
It's an 11. I don't think you can tell. This is so an 11 is kind of like Hall of Fame voting. What they say about the Hall of Fame is
this is super relatable too.
Is it possible to tell the story of football without this person? Mm-hmm. Is it possible to tell the story of football without Tom Brady? No. It's not. It's not. It's impossible.
Right.
So. This is a song where, like, can you tell a story of rock and roll without this song? I don't think you can. I think this is a big song. For both of us to be familiar with it, because
it's true,
is a big thing. Because once I started this channel, we've done about 2,100 songs. Literally 98% of them we've never heard before. And it's been pretty bad. But this one I feel accomplished because we have heard it.
And we both heard of it.
We both heard of it. It's
got to be it back to us, though.
It's got to be an 11. It's got to be an 11.
10.
It's a classic. Can't tell a story without it. And, you know, if you're in a drug situation, lots of places you can get help.
Yep. Granite Recovery. Call them.
And the first thing to do is say you need help. It's the smartest, bravest, most stand-up thing to do is admit that you need help initially, and then you go do it and you crush it. So there you are. Much love to everybody here. Shout out to Chris Culp. Love the work you're doing, homie. Keep it up. You're going to be rewarded very soon. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
Villagers, the NCAA college basketball tournament is right around the corner. We're doing a March Madness contest for our village to raise funds for other villagers in need. It only costs $1 to participate, and you'll have the option, if you want to donate a little extra. The way it works is you go to ESPN.com and fill out a bracket with the teams that you think are likely to win each game. Whoever wins our contest will get to pick a song for Vin and Sori to react to. So that song you've always wanted them to do, you can now get it done for as little as $1 if you win the contest. There will be a link in the description to this website that will take you to a PayPal site. From there, you make your donation and you'll get an email back with instructions on where to join the group and the password so that you can join. Now, if you're asking, I'm not a big college basketball junkie, I don't know what's going to happen, that's okay. There's all kinds of information on the website that will show you what the experts are predicting, statistics on each team, and even trends as far as what everybody else is voting on. So you'll fill out your bracket. You can start doing that on March 14th, and you'll have until the games begin on the 19th to complete your bracket. You can join the group at any time, but those are the dates that you can actually fill your bracket out. If you have any questions, send those to vinandsorimarchmadness@gmail.com, and I look forward to seeing you guys there.